You know that moment when you click send on an email, close your laptop, and then realize your message might need more clarity?
I understand that completely. Interestingly, the main issue is rarely the grammar. The grammar is usually perfect.
Exactly. It is a completely different factor, and sometimes it is challenging to identify immediately. Today on Business English for Success, we focus on the specific phrases people use every day in office emails and meetings that inadvertently lower their professional impact.
To clarify, we are not focusing on beginner errors. These habits frequently appear even with professionals who use English at work for years.
Right. So if you want your communication to align perfectly with your professional goals, or if you simply aim to speak naturally with your team, this discussion is for you.
So, Emma, let's begin the breakdown.
Let's start with where professionals spend most of their workday, the inbox.
So let's talk about email. I think this is where many of us feel confident, but sometimes that confidence needs a little adjustment.
What do you mean?
Think about it. Most of us have been writing work emails for years. We have our go-to openers and polite closings. It feels natural. But some of those phrases we use have started to reduce our clarity.
Okay, give me an example.
Here is one I see all the time. Someone writes, "Please kindly send me the report by Friday."
What is wrong with that? It sounds polite to me.
That is the point. It sounds polite, but please and kindly are doing the same job. You don't need both. And when you are writing to someone you don't know well, please kindly reads as stiff. It feels like a formal letter from a long time ago.
So it's not a grammar error? It just feels unnatural?
Right. And when you send emails at work, feeling unnatural is enough to leave a different impression. So what works better? Just pick one. Please send me the report by Friday. It is direct and still polite. Or if you want to soften it, could you send me the report by Friday? I'd appreciate it. That is warm without being over formal.
One word doing its job instead of two working against each other.
And while we are on email, there is another one, the word revert.
As in, please revert to my email?
Exactly. I want to be careful here because this is easy to mix up. Revert in standard English means to go back to a previous state, like reverting a document to an earlier version or reverting a policy change.
So it's not about replying a mail.
Not at all. But please revert, meaning please reply, shows up in work emails more than you'd think. If your colleague reads it literally, there is a moment of hesitation. Even if they figure it out, that moment takes extra time.
So what is the fix?
A simple swap. Please reply when you get a chance. Or, I'd appreciate your response by the end of the day. Both are clear, both are standard, and there is no room for a double take.
I'd appreciate your response. That sounds professional without being stiff.
Right. That is the tone we want. Not formal in an over-coded way, just clear and confident.
Okay, we have the wording sorted, but what about before the email even gets opened?
What are you thinking of?
The subject line? I feel like that is something a lot of people write last, almost like an afterthought.
You are right. And that is the problem. The subject line is the first thing someone reads. In a full inbox, it is your primary opportunity to get a response.
So what does a vague subject line look like?
Something like, regarding our conversation, or following up on the matter, which tells the reader almost nothing.
Right, because everyone has conversations. Everyone discusses matters.
Exactly. Compare that to budget sign-off needed before Thursday, or quick question on the Q3 report. The reader knows immediately what this is about, why it matters, and whether they need to act now.
So the goal is one glance and they know what to do.
That is it. A subject line is a clear, specific headline, not a summary of the whole email, just enough to earn the open.
I'll keep that in mind when I write my next one.
Most people do. The good news is it takes about 5 extra seconds. The result is much higher than the effort.
All right, we have updated the inbox. But honestly, Emma, for a lot of professionals, the real challenge isn't emails. It's when you are in the room or on the call.
Now we are talking about it, because the focus required feels higher in real time, doesn't it? You can't edit what you just said. You can't reread it before you hit send.
Exactly. And that is where some common habits that feel natural, can quietly reduce your impact.
That is what we are looking at next.
You know what I notice in meetings? People who know their subject. They have done the work, they have solid ideas. But the moment they speak, everything gets wrapped in layers of maybe.
What do you mean?
Like, I think maybe we could possibly consider looking into this. 5 words just to soften one idea. By the end of the sentence, nobody is sure if you were suggesting something or just thinking out loud.
I see why it happens. Nobody wants to be over-direct, especially when there are different levels of experience in the room.
Sure, but there is a difference between being thoughtful and consistently sounding unsure about your own ideas. If you use those softening phrases for everything, even the things you are confident about, people might miss your core point before you get there.
So it is not about removing all of it. It is about being deliberate. I don't have the full picture yet, but my read on this is that works because you are pointing out a real limitation.
Right. But I think maybe, perhaps, before every sentence, that is just a habit. And it is a habit we can improve.
So what does the more direct version sound like?
Something like, my take on this is, or based on what we have, I suggest. You are not pretending to have all the answers. You are just not showing hesitation for having one.
Okay, here's a quick one. Someone asks you to help with something, and you say, no problem.
That needs adjustment?
It is not incorrect. Just think about what it implies. No problem suggests there was a chance it could be a difficult issue. You are letting them know it isn't.
Whereas if you say, of course, or happy to, there was never any question.
Exactly. Same action, different signal. In a client situation or with someone more senior, that signal adds up. It is the difference between someone who feels like they are asking a favor and someone who feels like they are working with a professional.
I will be honest. I still use no problem more than I should.
Most people do. You don't hear it until someone points it out. Then you hear it everywhere.
All right, here is something that is interesting. You are in a meeting, someone is talking, and you have something to add. What do you do?
The 2 defaults are wait too long and miss the opportunity, or just interject and hope for the best.
And interjecting, even with something useful, changes how the room feels. It requires effort to recover from that.
The better option is to use a phrase that shows you want the floor without interrupting abruptly. Sorry to jump in, I just want to add something here. It is short, it shows you are stepping in, and it does not disrupt the flow.
What about when you disagree with the direction the conversation is going?
That is where many people go too soft or too direct. The version that tends to land well is, can I offer a different angle on this? You are not saying the other person is wrong, you are just opening a door.
People walk through that door much more willingly than they walk through a contradiction.
Exactly. The goal is not to dominate the discussion, it is to be heard in it.
You know, everything we have covered so far, the emails, the softening phrases, the way you enter a conversation, it all connects to something broader.
What is that broader element?
I mean, credibility, how people perceive you, not just in a single meeting or a single email, but over time. The next part is where that really shows up.
You are right. We have been talking about everyday situations.
But there are moments at work that carry more weight. A negotiation, an important conversation, a room where the decision matters.
The habits that are slightly unnatural in a regular meeting, they get amplified in those moments.
So let's talk about those.
Let's start with something that sounds confident, but actually does the opposite of what you want.
What is that?
Phrases like, honestly speaking, or to be frank with you, people use them to signal that they are about to say something real, something direct.
And what is the issue with that?
Think about what it implies. If you say, to be frank, before a point, what were you being before that? The person on the other side of the table picks up on that, even if they don't say anything.
So instead of adding authority to what you are about to say, you are actually raising a question about everything you said before it?
Right. And in a serious conversation, that is the last thing you want. You want how people see you to be consistent throughout, not something you switch on with a phrase.
So the fix is just drop the intro and say the thing?
That is it. If your point is strong, it doesn't need an extra introduction. I think we need to revisit the timeline on this. Is more effective than, to be honest with you, I think we need to revisit the timeline.
The second one sounds like you have been building up to say it for a while?
Exactly. And that hesitation comes through. Direct and calm, without unnecessary details, is almost always more convincing.
We frequently see a specific practice in meetings, negotiations, and discussions. Please share more. When someone says something you don't fully agree with, or maybe you didn't fully understand, and instead of saying so, you just nod. Or you say, yes, I understand, and move on.
In the moment, it feels like the smoother option. Less clarity is needed right then, and the conversation keeps moving.
But two things happen. One, if you didn't actually understand, those unclear points do not go away. They just show up at a later stage, usually when you need to deliver results.
And two, if you disagreed but stayed quiet, you have just agreed. That position is yours now, whether you intended it or not.
So what does the better version look like? A lot of professionals want to know how to share a different view without it feeling like a disagreement.
The key is separating acknowledgement from agreement. You can say, I hear what you are saying. I want to make sure I am reading this right before we move forward. That is not a disagreement. That is just being careful.
And if you do want to offer a different position?
Something like, I see where you are coming from. I would look at it slightly differently. You are not overlooking their point. You are just not pretending to share it.
That distinction matters. The people who handle serious conversations well, they are not the ones who avoid disagreement. They are the ones who handle it without making it personal.
And that is a skill. It develops over time. But the language helps, because the right phrase gives you a moment to think, instead of just reacting.
Or instead of just nodding and hoping nobody follows up.
Which we have all done at least once.
Before we wrap up, we want to try something. 2 quick questions, see what stuck.
These are common situations. Take a second, think about your answer, then keep listening for the result.
First, you are in a meeting. Your manager proposes a project direction that has a detail to clarify. You want to raise it without it turning into a disagreement. What do you say?
A, actually, I think there might be an issue with that. B, can I offer a different angle on this? C, to be honest, I'm not sure this will work.
The answer is B. Option A creates an unnecessary barrier straight away. Option C, remember what we said about to be honest? It raises questions about everything you said before it. Option B opens a door. Your manager can walk through it without feeling hesitant.
Second, a client emails you asking for a report by the end of the week. You reply, "No problem, I'll get that to you." What would be a more effective response?
A. Sure, no worries at all. B. Of course, I'll have that with you by Friday afternoon. C. Please kindly expect it by Friday.
B is the one. It confirms the action, adds a specific time, and the tone is professional. Option A is casual. Option C, we talked about please kindly. It is unnecessary and reads as overly formal.
If you got both right, you were paying attention. If you got one, that is the one to practice this week.
If you are not sure, that is fine too. That is what we are here for.
Let's bring it back together. We reviewed these key points today.
The main point is this. The difference between how we learn English in books and how we talk at work is almost never about grammar. It is about the small choices. The phrase you reach for, the way you open an email, or the way you enter a conversation.
Things like swapping please kindly for something cleaner, writing a subject line that gets the email opened, replacing no problem with of course.
Not using those softening phrases when you know what you think. Knowing how to step into a conversation without disrupting it. And in serious moments, dropping the extra words and just saying the thing.
None of these are difficult once you are aware of them. The awareness is the work.
It is not about studying a list, but noticing your own choices. The moment you catch yourself saying "to be honest with you" before a point, that is when your communication starts to improve.
Pick one thing from today. Just one. The one that felt most familiar, because that is the one showing up most often in your work.
Try it this week. One conversation, one email. See how it lands.
If you have a question, or if there is a situation at work you would like us to talk about, drop it in the comments. We read them.
See you in the next one.